This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Red Side of Trent, as we are here to discuss our post-match result against Leicester City as we drew 2-2 at the City Ground to secure some form of European football next season. Delighted to be joined by Reese Lean and Jess Selby. Jess, how are you first of all?
I'm as good as can be expected, I think. I'm all good.
Good. Reese, how are we?
I'm okay, mate. You? Come on, tell the listeners your nice story.
I'm good. It's very bittersweet. So I was in Lee Clark's last man standing. I had Brentford, who won. Two people had Man City, who somehow drawn against Southampton, and the other two people happened to have Forest against Leicester today. So what a conflict of interest. I did want Forest to win. I celebrated Chris Wood's goal like it was a cup final goal, to be honest. So don't shoot me on out that one or not his goals got in, because we've been inept at defending, to be honest. But Jess, how are you feeling overall now you've had time to kind of settle down from the result? Because when you look at it in the bigger picture, Forest getting European football after the last two seasons is kind of a bit of a pipeline dream, to be honest. So an amazing achievement, but are you kind of a bit upset because of today's result as well? I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good. I don't know what happened there. It said I wasn't on mute, but I was. I'm going to go back to something I said after Wembley, which was, I think it's all about what could have been rather than it's been absolutely amazing. We know we've had a fantastic season. It's come crumbling down in the last couple of months. I've said for quite a while now, this team that we've got was not built to sustain the level that we were actually finding ourselves in March. That doesn't stop the disappointment. We taking 1 point from Everton, Brentford, and Leicester at home in the position that we were in. These aren't clubs that we're challenging 6th, 7th, and 8th place for. These are clubs that, although they're fantastic, and obviously Moyes has come in and sort of turned them around, at home we really should be trying to take more off them than what we have been. It's a fantastic achievement. We can't take that away from what it is compared to, last weekend, the club that we, by the skin of our teeth, stayed up against last season, got relegated to League One. That could have been us. It could have been. Thank God it wasn't. So there is some kind of perspective in that, but you can't take away the fact that it is so disappointing to end up where we have today. And now disrespecting Leicester, where they are in the league and where they have been all season, we should be beating them at home on our own pitch. Although I have just said to you, we knew what they were going to do. They've had no point to their season pretty much since October. They knew they were probably going to go down, even with the change of manager. Today was their chance to cause a bit of an upset against their rivals, and they've gone and just done that. It felt like a funeral walking out of that ground today, but the actual reality is we're going to European football next season in some kind of format, and we should be bloody proud of that. So...
Yeah, no, I can agree, and then like you just pointed out about those 3 games at home, it's just been such a disappointment. Reece, does it put a dampener on how we've got into Europe? We've kind of limped our way there as such, haven't we?
Yeah, of course, mate. There isn't anybody who's coming out of that ground today, and they'll be, to be honest, I don't like making accusations, but they'll be lying if they've not come out of that ground today saying they're not disappointed. The atmosphere was as flat as a pancake at the end. You look at the players on the pitch. You know, they were absolutely flat out on the back. They'll know, they'll be gutted. I've just seen Nico Williams just put a tweet saying, you know, we're delighted to bring this club in to Europe for the first time in 30 years, but deep down they'll be gutted because today, as we all know, was a massive opportunity for the club. Would have put us back into the top 5, would have kept it in our hands. So it is, on the face of the game, mate, it is disappointing. The obvious flip side of it is when the dust does settle, and this will probably, to be honest, now, Adam, be at the end of the season when we're all on his holidays and all, more relaxed about the situation because it's been a hell of a ride. Then we'll look back and think, well, what we've done this season is incredible. But, when you've got chances in football and chances in life, you have to try and grab them. And when you've got a side who, whatever Leicester are in terms of rivalry to us, when you've got a side who are coming to town who are relegated and poor, and they were poor today, mate. I make no mistake about it. They're a poor side, and you can't beat them. Then it's very frustrating, especially with, the goals we've conceded as well. But like I said, when the dust settles, man, it's still not over yet. I know, like now it's out of our hands and stuff, but still not over. But when the dust settles, and I think we'll say, yeah, brilliant. But at the minute, obviously disappointed to just not win the game, mate, today, unfortunately for me.
Yeah, so we'll get into the game and then we'll talk about a few things later. So, Jess, the team was unchanged from Monday night other than Morato coming in for Murillo, who wasn't in the squad at all, and injuries picked up to, well, it said Fi on Flash Scores. I thought it was on his hamstring the other day, so I haven't got a clue, to be honest. But I thought it was a bit odd to play a team like Leicester, who we know if you can get at them, they're going to kind of crumble, and we didn't play with two wingers. I just found it a little bit bizarre in some circumstances. What would you agree with that, or was you quite happy with how we went?
No, I wasn't happy with it. I'm going to point out Dominguez today. He was absolutely outstanding from minute go, even on the wing. The problem is that is not his position, and that is not where his strengths lie. And the fact that he was so good, even though he was out on that side, just goes to show you how quality of a player he is. But to not start the wingers, and the very beginning of the game, probably that first 15, 20 minutes, Nico Williams was doing two jobs. And in that kind of heat, under that kind of pressure as well, because there was pressure, even the atmosphere was bouncing at the beginning, things like that. There was a big element of pressure going into this game. It was calling out for a disaster. Our entire season is defined by our ability to counter-attack. And like you said, about teams like Leicester, they will fall apart if you just go at them. It's criminal. We sort of went into it expecting to fail if you do things like that. And that's no disrespect to the way that Nuno's setting up or anything like that. Maybe he's trying something. Maybe he doesn't like what he's seeing out on the training ground from Jota or Sousa. Maybe he just doesn't trust them. I know that's a word that's sort of been thrown around in our friendship group. But to just put Dominguez on the wing and expect that counter-attacking football, I say you're writing your own story from word go, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, the early pressure didn't pay any dividends, Reese. I mean, controversially, this goal is allowed because I don't know how VAR don't look at the throw-in where Luke Thomas actually foot is over the line. And I know that's not an excuse because he'll have a chance to clear the ball, but it's a great save by Sells initially, and then Connor Cody's he's quick on the hand to head it home, isn't he?
Yeah, and just before that, mate, the chances we had early on the Wood header, the free header, we scored that, mate. I think we would have thrashed them today. I think they would have gone completely under. And we started so well and we just couldn't. It was very similar to the Sheffield United game at home, I thought, last season, which we actually did score in and went to a Tyro put us ahead. But then we couldn't quite get that second goal that game. And then they started getting into it a little bit. And obviously that's how they did. His foot's over the line into, I guess, VAR will say it's probably like a second phase of play. A lot of the throw-ins now in the Premier League, if you watch them, from when we growing up kids, Adam, playing football, a lot of them are dubious, aren't they? They are. But it's a shot and it's took a deflection and Sells has done really well to save it, really. It's straight down his throat if it doesn't take that nick. But because it has took a nick, it's obviously made him readjust and he's had to basically parry it out and they just react quicker to it, unfortunately. Connor Cody's on hand and he reacts quicker to it. And yeah, it's disappointing from ours that we've not seen that danger. They just react quicker to it. And I guess you're thinking, oh, here we go again, because, when we do go behind, it, as we said, I think in the last part, it was only 4 points from a possible 36 when we go behind. We have struggled to come back, but that is something we obviously did do today. But Yeah, it was just frustrating, mate, for me that we just didn't get that goal when we was on top at the start because, like I said, I generally think they would have gone under, but we didn't, and unfortunately, they got a foothold in the game with that goal.
Yeah, I mean, good response though from us, Jess, because we attacked him. I thought Alanga was he had Luke Thomas on toast pretty much for the majority of the game, if not especially the first half. I thought he just tried to go past him every time he got the ball. Wins a free kick, takes a free kick, and gives White's there to nod home and get us back in it. And you kind of think, like, we've got our arses into gear. Let's go. And just couldn't score that second one. Like Reece said in the end of the second half, I think Dominguez had a chance. I think I would have had another half chance. So it's just frustrating day at the office, I'd say.
I think that's the best way to just summarize the game in general. It's just frustrating from start to finish. And I think the worst part about it was you just knew if we just kept at it that it was going to come. Like Reece said about that early chance with Wood's header, it would, if that had gone in, their heads would have gone down straight away from literally within the first 10 minutes. And we'd have just played our game the way we always would. But we found ourselves chasing. We did do well to come back into it. Free header, great whipping, fantastic. And then you were sort of thinking we could get a goal before half time here, and it just wasn't coming to fruition. And then in the second half, when that ball whipped in, I mean, we were attacking them constantly. We were constantly going at them. The ball was coming to the halfway line. We were picking it up. It was going forward again. And then from us going 2-1 up, literally within 5 minutes, it was like, stop. It just nothing happened. And I can't actually recall more than 1 or 2 attacks after that, but we were absolutely barraging them up until that point. So I know we have this typical thing under Nuno, and we've done it for a while now, where we do go ahead and we do sort of like gather our thoughts and sit back and just sort of reassess ourselves. But you shouldn't be doing that at home to Leicester City after they've already got relegated. You should be looking at that of keep going. Their heads were down. You could see their heads were down. Their fans were silent and they didn't really pick up again until they then got their second goal. That should have been us all over it, and we just took our foot off the gas. And after it, I don't even know what happened. It was almost instantaneous. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get on to some of that stuff because I thought we had such control of the game, and then substitution madness seemed to happen. But Reece, a silver lining from this game was Chris Wood nodding in his 20th goal of the season. I mean, who would have thought Chris Wood would score 20 goals? But an unbelievable cross from Morgan. Like, we probably have to actually touch on about Dominguez's chance just before it as well. Why has he not kicked that? I do not know.
And, I'm just begging for him to score, mate, because the work he puts in, he really does deserve one. I mean, he had the chance at the King Power anywhere. I think it was Hermanson in goal for them that night, made an absolutely point-blank save. And yeah, I think it was Chris Sutton who was a co-con when I watched the highlights. He said he just needed to set himself, really, because he's not going to score a diving header with no pace on the ball, is he, from that? He just needed to set himself, mate, and connect with it with his foot. And, so yeah, frustrating that. But the goal, I mean, what a cross from Gibbs White. I mean, that is why it's them type of passes why Manchester City are looking at him into, because it was on the money. And to be fair as well, what a header from Chris Wood, because yeah, the ball was absolutely sensational, but the header was equally as good. That was a brilliant goal, and that is a goal what shows where we are in the league in that moment. Until the last couple of weeks, obviously. And yeah, you just with Forest, you always sense you've got to get one more, aren't you? And I agree. I thought we was in control of the game, but with Forest, you always think, even against a side who've been relegated, you think we need another, and it proved to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, we must discuss like the substitutions, Jess, because I didn't think Sangare should have gone off. He wasn't on a yellow card, surprisingly, because he normally is when he goes off. But I thought he was quietly very good. You've already mentioned Dominguez. Anderson went off, which was the most puzzling one, because after Buonanotte he did score where he waltzed through us. I mean, that is abject defending. The way like Milenkovic and Aina collide, and then he's just waltzed through. He goes past Morato with very, very little complaints from Morato, little effort kind of thing, because he's on a yellow card. I don't want to bring him down. And then when he's collided with the post, and I don't know why we've just not taken him off. It's made no sense to me at all. And Nuno said about this miscommunication with the medical staff, but you said it to me off just before we started. Everyone knew it in the ground that he weren't going to get back up and carry on. It was obvious.
I know. Again, I did say that, and just before as well. Throughout the season, we've sort of had these moments where we've gone, "What's happened to our Forest? Where's our Forest? There's our Forest. That Forest showed themselves in abundance in that 10-15 minute gap." Starting off, I mean, the fact that them two collided into each other to give them their second goal, I mean, it was coming. And again, I said it before we started the podcast. We were lucky in the end that Leicester didn't actually take all 3 points, because we just fell to bits. We didn't know our heads from our backsides at that point. It was all going wrong. They were attacking us. Their fans were behind them. It could have quite easily gone from bad to worse for us today. So we're sort of, I'm not going to say I'm grateful for the point, because I'm not, but on that back. But going into that, them substitutions, you knew Awoniyi's not fit when he is fit. And that sounds awful to say. He's been off pace for quite a lot of the season now. That is not to say that he doesn't try, and not to say he doesn't hold the ball up, but he is not the Awoniyi that we had for the last 2 seasons. We were all under the agreement that he's probably going to go this summer, and rightly so. So when he went down, that sub that was getting prepped, every person in that stadium thought it was going to be a straight swap. Awoniyi off, Jota on. So when Anderson walked off the pitch, I was in absolute disbelief. And Awoniyi, I mean, there was a stretcher going over to Awoniyi at that point. So you're just thinking, hang on a minute. No one seemed to know what was going on. No one on the pitch seemed to know what was going on. Anderson was losing his head. Nuno was just pointing. And you're there thinking, hang on a minute. They're sort of all over us at this point in time. They are starting to trip us up a bit. We're now down to 10 men. We've got no more substitutions left. What are you playing at? Obviously, he has come out and said since that there was a miscommunication, but it was pretty damn obvious for how long he was down. And when he eventually got off the pitch, he basically collapsed behind the goal on his back, like exhausted. And you're thinking, anyone with eyes knew that he couldn't carry on, whether he said he could or not. If Awoniyi's turned around and said, "I'm fit to play on," he's an idiot, and he shouldn't have said it. The medical staff knew he wasn't fit to play on. Nuno should have known he wasn't fit to play on. And taking Anderson off, who, let's be fair, at that point is one of our more creative players and one of our get stuck in. I know he was on a yellow, so that the actual substitution would have made sense if it wasn't for the Awoniyi drop. But then for it to just be stood on the sideline, it was farcical. That's the only word I can use for it. It's an absolute farce. And it's been very few times this season where Forest have sort of shown themselves to be that vulnerable. But that 10-15 minute period, we just did not know what we were doing. And it was quite concerning, actually, because it is coming against a team, like I said, like Leicester, for all their wanting to beat us and wanting to stop our celebrations. It shouldn't be happening. And this is a team, I know we're all disappointed about Champions League and there's a massive summer ahead for signings and stuff, but this is a team where we're wanting to get Champions League. We didn't look fit for 10th place today in that second half. It was awful.
No, I can't disagree, really. I mean, I think if he wanted to take Anderson off, he should have put Jota and maybe Sosa on and then really gone for it. I mean, at least that would have made a little bit of sense, but I have no idea. I mean, Reece, what's your point of view on it? Because as Jess has alluded to, it was farcical. I don't think there's any more you can really call it.
Well, I mean, it all begun. There's obviously some fans will say, you know, can Dominguez and Sangare do a 90 minutes? Because, you know, and it isn't Ryan Yates' fault, but it just wasn't a game for Ryan Yates today. We're 2-1 up against a side who we're better against. If we're 2-1 up against Manchester City, then yeah, you probably bring Ryan Yates on and try and see the game out. But just go for them. Go for the kill. And it just kind of just went. And as soon as you see Dominguez come off, you just see the space, the ground he covers, and you just see the space opening up. And then obviously the goal, I'm just looking at, you've got to chuck Taro on because you're chasing the game and he's your only striker. I mean, you've got to chuck him on because that's just how football is. But as Jess said, once he collided with the post, I mean, some fans are saying the physio gave Nuno the thumbs up. Should have got that's just that miscommunication at that stage of the game. You just can't. Mistakes like that can't be being made. He should have just brought him off. Like everyone in the ground, like Jess said, could see he was literally. He literally looked like he'd just been in a boxing match and he'd just been knocked down to the canvas, hadn't he? Pretty much, he was all over the place. So he should have come off, and that isn't the reason why we drew the game. But again, as Jess said, that in stoppage time, we was playing for a couple of minutes with 10 men. Then when Tyler actually did come back on, he just couldn't move because he was probably concussed, mate, to be honest. And they could have easily won it in injury time. I mean, the one where I think Vardy gets put through it and you're thinking, oh my God, this is written in the stars, and he just couldn't quite get it out his feet. And then they play it to the young lad into Monga, which is a very apt name. What is he, 15 years old, and he even nearly scores. I mean, that would have been written in the stars. Sells makes a really good save. So, and then there's even a cross which everybody misses, and I think it's Christensen at the back post. If he gets a touch on that, mate, he scored, and then it would have been, a disaster of a day. But unfortunately, I think we're just seeing the squad as a whole, aren't we? They're just even your first teams, they're just running out of gas, really, and that's why we've slipped to seventh, isn't it now? That is a reality. When you look at it's probably Aston Villa now, maybe prime favourites to get that fifth spot. If you look at the players they've got to bring on, if they don't play Ollie Watkins, they've got an England international, Marcus Rashford. If they don't play Tielemans, they've got a £50 million centre mid in Onana they can bring in. That's just a couple of examples. Lucas Digne, who played yesterday, he comes off. Ian Maatsen played in the Champions League final last season, comes on. So that just shows you the depth. And unfortunately, it's probably just caught up on us, but it still doesn't excuse not beating these at home today, mate. It's a big chance missed today, unfortunately. As proud as we can be that this side's got us into Europe.
You could say it's been a missed chance for the last 6 games. It's only one win in the last 6, and we've shot ourselves in the foot as in true Forest fashion. But we aren't out of it.
Yeah.
Like let's look at it in a positive light. We're a point off Chelsea.
You just can't see Villa messing them 2 games up. Spurs and Man U on the beach. That's the problem.
Yeah, all right, absolutely. I mean, they lost to Palace and West Ham today without a whimper.
And West Ham are dying, mate. So,
yeah, and we've got them next week. So maybe it's Man City that fall out of it. Maybe they lose to Bournemouth and Fulham for us. It's somehow.
I think that's your top 5 now.
I just want to ask you both though. Like, start with yourself, Reece. Do you think it gives us that little bit? We can be a little bit more relaxed now that we have secured some form of Europe in these last 2 games, because I know it's a disappointment. I know we're on our last legs, but at least the hard work has not gone completely to waste.
As fans, mate, yeah, without a doubt, as players, not a chance in a million years. The players will be, and the management, the owner, everyone in the club will be, or they would have thought about Champions League. And that is a fact. And if they're not, if that is their mindset of thinking, well, we're kind of, content with getting in Europe after being third for most of the season, and that is not the mindset to have. And they wouldn't have had that mindset. I know they wouldn't have done. You saw at the end, mate, the players collapsed to the surface. They weren't going round celebrating with the fans. What are they thinking? We got in Europe. Footballers want to play in the Champions League. You heard Hudson-Odoi the other week. What would you rather play in Callum? Champions League or win the FA Cup? He picked Champions League. They want to play in the Champions League. It's where it's at. So, no, from a player's point of view, yes, from a fan's point of view, because we do have this Forest PTSD, don't we, where we think, God, even Forest might mess up Europe as a whole, which is something now we've got. But no, I think the players will be gutted today, personally. They'll be going home tonight and they'll be thinking, if we'd have won today, we were back in the Champions League place and it was back in our hands. And now it's looking, I just can't see it now, mate. I mean, it would be a very true Forest way to do it this way, but I just can't. The problem is, and we've said it before, is that we're not fighting with Luton. You've got good sides who are going to win most weeks, and I just can't see them slipping up. But you never know in football. And the problem is as well, do you see us winning the last 2 games? With how we're playing at the minute, probably not. As harsh as that sounds, it is unfortunately reality. But yeah, just a missed opportunity, mate. It was today, unfortunately. Like I said earlier, when the dust settles, and ask me in the summer, and I'll be buzzing. as I've said on this pod earlier on in the season, but today, yeah, it's probably not sunk in yet.
Yeah, just a little word from yourself on that point, but also about the confrontation that Marinakis had with Nuno's got to be spoken about. I mean, do you see that? I mean, I think Gary Neville come out on Twitter and said that like it's unacceptable and stuff. But then a lot of supporters have actually like supported it and said, well, he's someone that wants to win. Like Reece just said, he'll be disappointed that we've kind of blown it a little bit, won't he?
Absolutely. On the first point, I completely agree with Reece. I think as fans, I think we have had this feeling that we were going to achieve the highest point, which is obviously now gone. I think there has been an acceptance maybe over the last game or two that it is going to be Europa. And there was still that big hope, and it was still in our hands for Champions League. I think important now is that we do get Europa. It's still a fantastic competition to go into. And obviously, I don't mean to be rude to United or Spurs, but if they can both get to the final after the season that they have, I don't see why we can't at least try and be competitive in it. At the end of the day, this is a competition that we've not been anywhere near for 30 years. So as a fan, I'm very pleased to be in it. But again, as Reece said, I think those players are absolutely devastated. It was, and I will repeat, it was like a funeral at the end of that game. The fans were gutted. The players were on the floor with their heads in their hands. You would genuinely think we'd got relegated with the way that the reaction was. This was sort of feelings that you had towards the back end of last season, not throughout what we've had this year. And the reality is we've got European football. There's going to be some. I think one of the things that is concerning for fans is now what that means for our star players, because we already know that City's knocking on the door of Morgan Gibbs-White. We know that what Murillo's ambitions are going to be. We know what Hudson-Odoi's ambitions are going to be. This hopefully won't, but it could turn into a very big rebuild for us. And considering we already need more depth, we also might be having to fill in on the top layer as well. So it's going to be difficult. Regardless of how we go forward now, it's going to be tough. But I think as fans, we can accept the fact that next year we're going on some very different away days to what we've been on before. We've been to our Rochdales and Yeovils and Oldhams and Salisburys. We're now going to Europe in some respects. And I don't think you can take that away from any of us in the last 30 years. Marinakis, I completely understand why he's angry. We take away the competition, take away the fact what it means to the players, what it means to the fans. That game has cost the club millions. There's no taking away of that. It's cost the club millions. It could have cost the club millions in transfers. We are now not going to be the asset that other players might look at and go, oh, Forest have done really well and they've got to the Champions League and they've got an ambitious manager with an ambitious team. Some of that has been wiped away today. Not all of it, but some of it. He's got every right to be angry. He's got every right to question why we've collapsed in that kind of manner and almost lost as well. It should not have been done on the pitch. I think in any of our professions, if your manager, Reece aside, because he's self-employed, but if your managers manage to like grab you aside and shout at you in front of your office, your resignation, you'd be on the desk pretty damn quickly. I don't think he was necessarily heading towards Nuno. I think he was heading for something else and he's diverted. And Nuno, they've had a heated discussion. I'm not going to call it an argument, but there's obviously something passionate that's been said between them, which might apparently is about the substitution. But he's got every right to be angry. He just should have done it behind closed doors. And the problem is the media love a Forest day. They love slagging us off and dragging us through the trenches at every available opportunity. You've seen it in the FA Cup just before we play Man City in the biggest game we've had in the FA Cup in decades. Morgan Gibbs-White's going to Man City. They're doing it to Palace now. Eze's going to Man City. Wharton's going to Man City. The media love an underdog until that underdog takes on the big dogs. And it's been like that all season. And all he's done is given the media another stick to beat Forest with. And not only do I feel for Nuno, because again, take away the collapse aside, this is the best season we've had in years and years and years. He's done so well to get us to where we are, apart from the last few games. And he's put him in that position on the pitch. Not right, but the media thing as well. He always says he wants to protect us from the media, and he's put him in the firing line.
Yeah, I echo pretty much most of what Jess has said there, but what Marinakis has got to realise is he shouldn't be on the pitch. Whether he's pissed off, we're all pissed off, when we drew to relegated side. You can't be on the pitch. You're in Greece. And he has to realise that sometimes. It's England. And like Jess said, the media on it straight away. And to be honest, I've jumped to conclusions with it and I watched it again. And you actually watch it and Marinakis is actually walking past Nuno. I don't know whether he's gone to remonstrate with the referee. And then Nuno's probably tried to say, look, it's not worth it. And then he's probably ranting at Nuno in terms of venting his frustrations to Nuno, not actually arguing with him. But you know how the media extrapolates stuff up. It sells papers. That'll be on the back page tomorrow. Forest owner storms onto pitch. He shouldn't be on there, mate. It's as simple as that. People can say, yeah, it's his club. You can't go on the pitch like that. You just can't, because you'll just get hammered for it. And, if he wants to have a go at Nuno, which I actually think he hasn't in theory, you've got to do it behind closed doors. You just can't. You can't wash your dirty laundry in public. It just doesn't go well. We saw it last season with Scott Parker at Bournemouth. He come out after that 9-0 at Liverpool away, started slagging off the board, started basically, this squad ain't good enough, blah, blah, blah. Guess what happens? 2 weeks later, he's out the door. You run through things through the media and it gets twisted the way they want it. So, yeah, that's very, very naive on his part. And I would say I hope he learns from it, but he is a passionate guy and he's obviously a multi-millionaire and he's probably not got the ego for some random fan on a podcast telling him to rein it in. So, yeah, carry on as you are, Mr. Marinakis.
I will add to that. I am very pleased we do have someone that is that passionate and invested. He has got Olympiacos as his main love. There's no denying that. But he's been there pretty much every game this season. He is involved. I mean, it's always been fantastic watching the match day passes, which we've not seen for a while. Just seeing him take the players off the pitch and welcome them back into the dressing room and stuff. I'm so pleased we do have someone with that kind of passion and the passion to show up and be that angry. But like Reece says, different world in England. You do have to sort of rein it in to an extent. Be angry, don't by all means, but he, like I say, he always wants to protect the club. He's got to be careful how he conducts himself to continue protecting the club, because we've had it come at us for the last 2 years now. So, but like Reece says, he probably won't learn from it, but
yeah,
we'll talk about it.
Like Jess said, it is good that he's visible on a match day, because when you look at some of the other clubs in the Premier League, Spurs, they never see their owner. It's always Daniel Levy, who, I think most people in football probably actually think Daniel Levy is Spurs' owner when he isn't. The Glazers never go to Manchester United. Todd Bowley's been slagged off at Chelsea. You see clubs who their owner isn't visible, and it's great that he's actually coming to the ground, he's watching the game, but you can't go on the pitch at the end. You just can't do that. You manages your front of house. Anything else behind closed doors.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, both of you. I don't think there's that much more to say. I think you're right, Reece. I don't think the argument is even that. I don't think it's even that much, really. No, it's kind of just like a disagreement, and that's about it. There wasn't really a shouting match or anything.
But you know how it goes, mate. The first person you see, probably the most, I'm not going to say popular, but most, what's the word I'm looking for? Visible pundit in the country, Gary Neville, straight on it. And people see it, people read it, people comment on it. I'm sure that tweet's got thousands of interactions already, probably even 1 million. And people jump on it, unfortunately. All they'll see is Forest owner storms onto pitch. That will be the headline.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get into everyone's slept on it thoughts, although it's not quite slept on it because it's the same day. But you know what the deal is.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
I think this is a Christian hot one, Reese. I'm going to start with Christians. Abysmal in game management has cost us. If you can't beat a team as bad as Leicester at home, you don't deserve Champions League anyway. Some positives: Sangare, Dominguez, and Anderson were all good, and a great assist from Morgan Gibbs-White. But once again, a certain player enters the field and we blow up. I'm not going to agree or disagree with that point, but we'll move on. Side note: Marinakis 100% in the right. In his eyes, we've bottled top 5, bottled an FA Cup semi-final, and bottled today 5 points for the last 21 available. He has every right to be angry. Anyone questioning his behaviour has never won anything. And then just to get into everyone else's who's managed to get in touch. So your Emma, Reese, mixed feelings travelling Europe with Forest is one of the only bucket list items have left. However, it hurts after being third for so long. Shows how much Domi means to us when he went off. Just simply had to win. I'm here for Mr. M's reaction at the end. Shows the passion he has. Danny Trink, the minute Yates came on, there was only one team was going to win the game, and they was losing at the time. He's woeful, lost all control, won't get in Leicester's team, and they have Oliver Skip. Nuno at fault for trusting him. Am I surprised by Yates' performance? No. Jeffro, some mixed views on the whole Europe thing. My take is it's not how you start, it's how you finish. We've been top 3 virtually all season. Last few weeks, we've dropped to 7th on lower bottom half form. We've been poor since the week we beat Man City and Ipswich. Today was pure rubbish. NFFC, Kez, Yates killed us. Sangare and Dominguez are our best 2 players today. Nice to see Gibbs-White have some very good end product. Europe next season. Tom Newton stumbled over the last few weeks. Players running on fumes, not strengthening in January for whatever reasons, hampered us massively in recent weeks. Bittersweet situation regarding Europe, but we had a club-changing situation in our hands and we've blown it. Best opportunity is gone. Capanosity, one word to describe it: meltdown on the pitch, the touchline, and from the owner. So many wrong decisions has made after the second goal. Never pressed for a winner. Midfield avoid. The Taiwo fiasco. Mr. Blind trust shaming himself, and Nuno looking forward to Lincoln Redims. Last of all, Sam, very, very frustrating to draw to a diabolical Leicester side. Gives us very little chance at Champions League, which is frustrating considering how long we were sat in third, but you can clearly see our lack of squad depth has caught us up. 1 win, 2 draws and 4 losses. In our last 7 games is not Champions League form. At the end of the day, we have secured European football next season, which is a phenomenal achievement. Just some player performances to go through, Jess. I'm going to start with someone that you've already mentioned, and that is Nico Dominguez, who just can't seem to get a goal. Like, he keeps trying his hardest, but it keeps avoiding it. Maybe he'll score the winner to get us into Champions League. Still, we can still get there. I'm still optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, Nico, he was absolutely fantastic, wasn't he? He was all over the place, and it wasn't just his attacking force either. He put a fantastic ball through for Wood in the first half that Wood just couldn't quite get himself around. It was I think I'm just going to go to Morgan Gibbs-White. Morgan Gibbs-White was a bit of frustration today. He obviously did have a couple of end products, fantastic, thank God, because he was tripping over his own feet at times and doing some silly turns. And when Dominguez put that ball through, I think we shouted, "That's how you pick a pass out." So, and it was. And then his defensive ability as well. He was going into some tackles, and sometimes them tackles, he was sprinting 15, 20 yards to make those tackles in the middle of the field. Obviously, because he was on the wing at the time. But yeah, all over, wherever there's a space, there's Dominguez. That's all I can say. Doesn't matter whether it's forward, backwards, sideways, wherever there is a space for the ball to go, Dominguez is hovering over it. And we missed him so much when he went off. I would like to say, I know the players in whole are tired, but I will go back to what you said earlier. I don't think he was that tired that he needed bringing off. An adjustment in position and a couple of other players to just sort of merge around and make a couple of subs. I think he'd have been absolutely sound for the 90, but yeah, what a player. He's fantastic. And I say, he just, as soon as he went off, the space was there and there was nobody picking up that space. And it went to show because of how many times they counter-attacked us in that second half as well.
I wonder if the man who called me out for my love of Dominguez is having a great evening because he told me that Dominguez was lighting the tackle and all sorts. I'm thinking, all right, mate, yeah. Reese, I'm going to give you Ibrahim Sangare, who I thought quietly was. I thought he was really good, actually. I thought he if once he didn't get yellow carded, I mean, that helped him a lot.
Yeah, because to be fair, they sat off him, which allows him to kind of dictate the play a bit more, doesn't it? And I've always said this, when he plays against teams who sit behind the ball. So he would probably suit a better side than us in terms, really. When he plays against teams who are sat behind the ball, he can dictate play and stuff. It just odd times he can be a little bit loose in possession. You always see the odd pass, which is a bit like just off a yard, making someone pull the hamstring out. But he can play, mate. There's no doubt he can play. It's just that when we are on the back foot, is has he kind of got that agility to get round? That is probably the issue with him. But I thought he played well again today. It's interesting, really, that it's took Nuno this long to kind of really thrust him in, hasn't it? Unless it's kind of a last chance saloon kind of thing, because clearly at the minute he doesn't fancy Yates to start games. He's obviously gone off Danilo again because he's played in games where he's been good, and then the next game he seems to be really poor. The only kind of mainstays have been Anderson and Dominguez. And I mean, to be fair, Dominguez has been just doing a shift out wide for us, hasn't he? So, good. Yeah, it's good to see. Hopefully he can finish his season strong. And then next season, like Christian said on the last pod, he is one of, there's only a few who've actually got European experience. Milenkovic would be another, for example. Chris Wood, obviously, back in the day with Birmingham.
I was going to say, did he play for Burnley? It's like Hibs.
He played for Birmingham, didn't he? Back in the day.
Did, yes.
Yeah, there's a goal that Marlon King set him up on Twitter I saw a while ago. So hopefully he can, have 2 more good games if he starts them, which I think he'll start against West Ham at the least. Go into pre-season, have a good pre-season as he did this season, and hopefully make sure stay fit. Really, that was obviously the problem, wasn't it, at the start of the season? And he hopefully someone who can, we can lean on his experience a bit in Europe, because I get what Jesse's saying is like when you look on the face of it and thinking, how the hell have Man U and Tottenham got to a Europa League final? But they're clubs who know Europe, like Brighton came up against Roma, and you'd probably say on paper, the Premier League come against Serie A, you think, Brighton have got a really good chance against them. Well, they got pasted. It's just because Roma have got all that European experience, that know-how. So he is someone who we kind of need next season. I just hope he can continue this, mate. And it's good to see because, like we said, we spent a lot of money on him, and I want him to play well for Forest. So long may it continue, mate, these couple of games. But one swallow doesn't make a summer. But hopefully we can continue to see it.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully. Jess, Elliot Anderson. I mean, I've run out of superlatives for this young man. I just think he can keep going strength to strength, but obviously didn't deserve to be on the drawing side of anything today in my eyes. I thought he was quietly very good again.
Again, another fantastic performance from him. He's just different in a way that I'll say it, Dominguez. I sound like I'm repeating myself now, but he's just everywhere, and he just gets a foot stuck in every time. And it's very rare it doesn't come off for him. Obviously, he does get the odd yellow card, which I think goes against us sometimes, because you do get to that 70, 80-minute mark where you think, he probably should come off because he's been booked. But he's just unbelievable. We're talking about Gibbs White potentially leaving us in the summer. If Anderson continues on the uplift that he is, you've got a fantastic guy that's going to step into those shoes. You can build a squad around Anderson. He is that good. We are obviously very lucky that we do have Gibbs White and Anderson playing in the 10 and the 8 roles. But right now, I feel if he got himself injured, we would miss him more than most players. I think he is an absolute pivotal part of the team. We're so lucky to have him. And you're right, you run out of superlatives for how good he is. He changes games. And I know we talk about our farcical substitution, but him going off the pitch, along with Dominguez and Sangare, but him going off the pitch, there was just nothing, absolutely nothing in the middle. He just brings so much to the team. So there's not an awful lot I can really say about him, because every time I talk about Anderson, he's great.
Yeah, no, I think he's fantastic. I mean, the yellow card he did get was a proper yellow card. He's like lumped Buonanotte about 5 foot in the air. So yeah,
absolutely.
Like long gone are those crap yellow cards of like totting up and a little tap here and there. He's like nailed someone. I think that's at least that's not so bad at least. And it was out of anger because Nico Williams had killed him with not going out wide for a header he put there. I could see him like at pitch level, like just having a go at him, like what was you doing? Sort of thing. You killed me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think a lot of his yellow cards are like that though. His yellow cards aren't Ryan Yates yellow cards, a little nudge in the back, a little trip here or there. His yellow cards are proper challengers that you love to see as well. They're the kind of challengers that you stand up and applaud on 75 minutes. So.
Reece, I'm going to give you Chris Wood because I think it's worth him giving like more of a shout that 20 goals in a Premier League season is no mean feat, and for someone that's 34, always played at teams where they've been scrapping, and he's had to scrap for goals. And what was it last season? He got 14, and it was his highest joint highest he'd got when he got with Burnley. To get 20 goals is absolutely ridiculous for a team that aren't really on the front foot. He doesn't get loads and loads of chances. I know he had a couple today, but fantastic.
Yeah, all credit to him, mate. He probably has been a bit quiet from his usual standards in the last few weeks from the start of the season. But to be fair, you could say that about the whole team, hence why we've dropped off a little bit. But I think you was the only one at the start of the season, Adam, who actually said in our little pod for that he'd be the top scorer again. So for him to get 20 goals, yeah, brilliant. I don't think anyone could have expected that. I think not quite a few fans would have said double figures, but 20, yeah, fair play to him. Obviously, he's got 2 more years now. And I think over the next 2 years, starting this summer, you need to be bringing somebody in who's going to take the mantle from him. Which is probably what Jimenez would have done if they'd signed him in the summer, but he's gone to AC Milan now and scored 2 the other night. So because Taiwo's going to be moved on into in the summer, I think that's a given. So Forest have probably got to go into the market this summer and look at succession planning because Chris is still really good. It's just that to be relying on him for 38 games of the Premier League season, and he's not going to be plus Europe next season. 50 odd games, you're just not going to get that out of a 34-year-old every week. So they need to be looking in the summer, which I'm sure they will do, for kind of someone who's going to be vying with him and then takes a mantle from him. But I mean, yeah, 20 goals, mate, superb. I hope he can get that 100 club with us. That'd be really good, nice for him and good for the club as well that he does it with us. So, I mean, the goal today, he'll be kicking himself because he should have scored early on. But the actual goal he did score, brilliant header. I mean, the ball was so good from Gibbs White, but it was still a tremendous header. And yeah, really good for him to get 20 goals this season. What an achievement that is.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have put your house on him getting 20 goals, that's for sure. But yeah, he scored all types of goals. I'm kind of looking forward to going back through the catalogue of them because he's but I think this is where you're right. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for the recruitment planning because obviously we've already been linked to several players. Liam Delap's been linked to everyone. I think
he's the ideal candidate, isn't he? But half the Premier League is going to be looking at him, mate. And if there's teams who are in the Champions League who want him, you know, I'm thinking of Chelsea. If they get in, they could do with a striker, couldn't they? I know Nkunku's on about leaving, so that leaves him with Nicholas Jackson. Well, he's just got himself sent off today. And to be fair, as they have actually improved since he's come back, Jackson, but I don't think he's kind of the answer, is he, 100%? So they probably be in it for him. If Villa, for example, let Ollie Watkins go, or they don't sign Rashford, there'll be so many teams in for him, mate. It'd just be hard, that one. I think it might be somebody on the continent they probably need to go and pick up again, really.
Just before we move on, the only thing with Delap is what we could offer is probably more game time, but it's a tricky one. But just to give everyone a little bit of insight into who's not been watching the Europa League this season, if we did get in it, these are some of the teams that where we could be going, like Karabag, Nice, Dynamo Kiev, Ludogorets, Malmo, Slavia Prague, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Besiktas, Hoffenheim, Elfsborg, Braga, Fenerbahce, Twente, Panathinaikos, who, I mean, that'll be fun. Union, St. Gallen, or whatever they're called, I think, in Belgium. Midtjylland, Alkmaar, Porto, Ferencváros, Victoria Pilsen, Roma, Galatasaray, Sociedad, Ajax, Bucharest, Anderlecht, Bodo Glimt, Rangers, Olympiacos, Lyon, Frankfurt, and then the people that are propping up the Premier League who haven't been relegated in Tottenham and Man United and Athletic Bilbao and Lazio. So there's still some nice places to go if we do get into Europa League, guys. It's not all.
There's a bit of confusion how it works at the minute, isn't it? If we was to say if we do finish 7th, which is still football to be played yet, there's a bit of confusion whether that would mean conference if Palace won the FA Cup or if it's Europa. We are guaranteed, aren't we? But we kind of don't know what's going to happen.
I think if we finish 7th and Palace win the FA Cup, then I think it will be Europa League still.
Because that's where
or maybe it's not. Maybe that is Conference League.
That's 7th. Where the confusion is. So we'll see. We're going to be in. I mean, if it was to be the Conference League, I've said this a long time ago on the pod now, but that tournament's very winnable. Very winnable. I'm not being funny, but Joe Garden got to the semi-finals. I went to watch them against TNS, who were, nearly whatever level they'd be in England. They only just beat them 1-0. So they're not exactly, not these powerhouses of European football. No disrespect. And it's the same with Europa League. Like, Bodo Glimt, it's a brilliant story, what's happened there, but come on. Would you expect Forest to beat them over 2 legs? You would, wouldn't you?
Well, their population wouldn't even get into the whole of the Tottenham Stadium, would it? There'd still be space left.
Their best player a few years ago was Zingarnago, and he was playing for us in the Championship, and we decided he wasn't good enough for the Prem. So, yeah.
Jess, anything to add? I'm assuming that after a little while and probably when the season finishes, regardless of what European competition we're in, it's going to be a nice one to look back on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed. Like I say, we're all disappointed. I think if Forest were ever going to do something like confirm European football for the first time in 30 years, obviously a draw at home against an already relegated team was exactly the way we were going to do it. But even looking back, I've been going home and away for 24 years. I don't want to sound like a happy clapper, but I'm absolutely buzzing. I've always wanted to see Forest in a European competition, however that was going to come about, winning the League Cup, winning the FA Cup. The fact that it's come from the fact we have got to semi-finals of the FA Cup. Okay, we lost against Man City at Wembley, but that was a bonus we definitely weren't expecting. And we're going to finish in the top 7 of the Premier League. Accumulate it all together, as disappointing as the last couple of months have been, we've gone and done something that none of us ever expected had happened. Certainly not in the 5-10 years from us getting promoted a couple of years ago. So yes, I'm disappointed today, but in general, I'm buzzing for next season already. I am getting a bit of football fatigue. I am ready for them to just back off a bit, give me a bit of space. But I know full well when them fixtures come out in June and when they start doing the draw for whatever competition we will be in, it'll be all systems go again. And I'm just looking forward to the trip. I'm just looking forward to seeing. I grew up on stories of, okay, it might not be the Champions League, but I grew up on stories of my family going to Europe, watching Forest. It's my turn now in whatever competition that may be, and we've managed to do it. So I'll take it.
I think the funny thing is you just said about football fatigue. There's going to be more games. You have to sleep more in the summer, Jess. I'm sorry to say.
And there'll be more games on a Sunday as well.
I know.
That's the
problem.
Yeah, no more church for anyone, or unless you see the City ground as church. Reece, I mean, you could tie it in with work now.
No chance, mate. Man, driving in Europe. I've been to Italy. I love to see what idiots drive out there. Honestly, it scares me how they drive, mate. So I'm definitely not driving out there. I have driven in Iceland, though, to be fair, which was fine because there's only about 3 cars on the road. But that's a different story.
Maybe if Reykjavik gets into the Europa League.
I don't think there's a bridge from Scotland to Iceland to drive over, unfortunately.
Just a quick look to West Ham next week, which is obviously another Sunday to 2:15. I don't know why 2:15. It makes no sense to me. But another away trip, Reece. I know you're doing it. I don't know. I'm just going to quickly look at the games prior, but again, I know you've mentioned about them being dire, but really, it should be a game we can go and try and win. Definitely.
Yeah, it's just, I guess the frustrating part is that they've won today, and then they'll probably think, well, it's last home game of the season for them now. Let's go out on a bit of a high, and obviously go into next season with Graham Potter, because we saw with Nuno last season, he struggled to get it going, didn't he, for us overall? But he had a pre-season and then he got us going. So, look, I'm going to be going there next week, just hoping we can win and stay in the race. You never know in football. I fully expect Villa now to do the business. I know they play Friday night against Tottenham. Bloody Man United. What a last 2 games for them.
Both of them on Friday night.
Yeah,
Chelsea, Friday.
And Chelsea. You never know in football, so you've just got to keep in the race, haven't you? If Chelsea and Villa win, Manchester City win, we win, we're still in the hunt onto the last day. We still give us a chance. So we just got to go to West Ham and win, mate. Obviously, the positives, like we discussed, is that European football is secure, so we haven't got to worry about that. But just go for it now, lads, honestly. Just go and have a proper go at it. And, if we come up short, at least we've had a get. We've gone down trying. We'll just keep us in. If we win next week, we're in the hunt on the last day, and there's a hope. And that's all you can think, really. And like I've said, you're at least going to fall back onto some form of European football, whatever that is. And as I said earlier in the pod, mate, when whatever happens this season, it's going to be an exciting summer, a busy summer. I think it will get to that draw at the end of August, which hopefully is Europa, because I do think if we do go into the Conference League, there is a playoff, which Chelsea and Villa played last 2 seasons. So Chelsea plays Servette from Switzerland, and Villa, in typical Forest fashion, drew Hibs from Scotland, because that's what we all want to see in Europe. No ways is play a team from bloody Edinburgh. But I think you go straight into Europa group stage. So yeah, the excitement on that draw day will be brilliant. It really will. Just seeing the teams that we could play, and we'll just have to see. But just like Nuno said this on Radio Nottingham earlier, mate, just end the season strong, and we'll see what happens now. Unfortunately, we took it out of his hands today, but we've just got to try and finish it strong. And we've got a week off now, and we're to West Ham, so yeah, we'll go there and hope next week, mate. And fingers crossed for some kind of miracle on Friday night from Man U and Tottenham, which
I can't imagine it happening, to be honest.
Well, again, if Tottenham do give us a miracle, then Christian can come on his pod and say how much he loves Ange.
That will never happen, I don't think. Even if we paid him, at least we'll find out the kind of confusion with the league, because Man City will be playing Palace in the FA Cup next weekend, which I find absolutely mental. I find that so
after the
stupid.
Season, mate. That is.
Yeah,
that should be the last game of the season. Yeah,
absolutely. Jess, West Ham. I don't know if are you going or not. More than likely.
Yeah, we're going more than likely.
You go in, take your binoculars, obviously.
The only reason anyone would want to go to that ground is because we're still in the hunt for Champions League, because there's no way because it's awful ground for a football fan.
Bear in mind, we've had the Palace amazing last game of the season. Burnley last season was fantastic, and I can't think of a single Forest fan who has been to West Ham's new place that would have looked at them fixtures and gone, "Yay, West Ham away!"
Why do we keep playing all the teams that play claret or a form of claret? You know what I mean?
There isn't any football fan in history who says West Ham's ground's good.
No,
even West Ham fans think it's rubbish.
Yeah,
right.
I can understand. If we left the City ground like they left Upton Park for that, we'd all be gutted. And it was a great business move because they got a free stadium pretty much. But yeah, not good for the fans.
It's not worth the free. Terrible.
What's your thoughts for that game?
I'm kind of with Reese on it, to be honest with you. I've not really got an expectancy on it. I think if we would have got something today, then I'd have gone expecting us to try and get the win. I'm with Reese. I'm just hoping that we can go there and get 3 points. I just want Forest to. I want us to do it with some pride. It feels at the minute that we're stopping this thing with a bit of a whimper. And there's this thing now in the media that we're going down, like stopping it with a whimper. I want us to just end it with a bit of pride. And I want them to be proud of themselves as well, because yes, I'm really annoyed with them as to what's happened. But seeing them all collapse on that pitch today after securing European football and I will add, with 2 games to go as well. This isn't something that we've scraped into or anything like that, or we have took down to the last game. Europe is confirmed, but regardless of competition, with 2 games to go. And they're all absolutely devastated on the pitch because they want more. I'm pleased to see they want more. So I want them to go out there and prove that they are worthy of more, even though it's out of their hands now, that they still want it, that they're still going to keep fighting. I would love to see us go there and come away with a 1-0, 2-1 win. I do think it's going to be tight. I don't think we do have it in us to get 2 or 3-0 behind us, but I do think we might go there and give it a shot. I think they're that disappointed today that I think they're probably just going to go there with a bit of a we need to do this sort of attitude. I hope so.
Fair enough. Reece, what was your score prediction, or have you not given one yet?
Obviously, my heart says we can go there and win, which we can do if it plays best. But I've just got a feeling it's going to be a draw, mate. I think that'll probably, our season in terms of has petered out a little bit. Their season petered out the whole way through, pretty much, because he, spent a load of money with Lopetegui and sacked him halfway through the season. So, but yeah, we can go there and win, mate. If we say it, don't we, on every pod that West Ham are very, very, very beatable. But at the minute, we just not quite got it in us, have we? But I hope we can go there and win, mate, and at least take it to the last day of the season. I think that'd be good nice for the fans as well, at least to say, look, we've got to the last day and we're still in with a chance. And then, the expectation, I guess, isn't there then, is it, as well? Because we're likely, even if we won't be going into that last day, not in the spots. And it's kind of like, well, just go out and give us a performance as last day of the season. And, if we finish a point behind, say, the spots, yeah, it's going to be hard to swallow, but we've kind of gone down fighting. And there's also, as well, not a lull going into next season. We saw that under Lamouche, didn't we, where we completely collapsed at the end of that season, and the lull went into next season. And within, 4 games, he was out the door. So we don't want that as well. End of season, well, like Nuno says, and whatever happens now, it's out of his hands, and unfortunately. But we just go and try and win the game for us.
Yeah, it's a little annoying that Villa and Chelsea play on the Friday night, but at least it gives us some sort of indication before we play on that Sunday of what's needed. A win's needed regardless. Yeah. So, but at least that will give us some extra boost if say they both drop points.
You'll say if they both win, we win, and then on the last day we beat Chelsea and Villa go to Old Trafford and draw, we'd be in. What I mean? It is possible. I know it's unlikely, but it is possible. Pressure can tell at times. Man U probably last day of the season will think, well, home crowd, let's maybe go into that Europa League game with a tiny bit of momentum. You never know, mate, in football. So we've just we've said this all along, just try and win our games. We're still in with a hope. So that's what we've got to go and do at West Ham now. Just win the game and take it to that last day regardless.
Definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to the European dream next summer, regardless of where we are. Looking forward to the draw. Looking forward to the summer of transfers and craziness that this club will definitely throw up at us and then the rest of the world. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to do a fun video after this season. Now we have secured Europe. I promised it on my Twitter. I'm not going to tell anyone really what it is. I'll tell you guys after we finish, but do watch out for that. That will come out on our social medias and stuff in due course. But hopefully you've all enjoyed the pod. Drop us a like. It means a lot. It goes a long way. It helps grow and everything. Subscribe. It's all for free. And we'll see you in the next one when we preview the West Ham game. But until then, come on, you Reds.